Nam Dong, Vietnam, July 1964. This is Ground Zero. The Battle of Nam Dong, fought on the night of the 5th to the 6th of July 1964, was one of the first major attacks against a U.S. Special Forces camp during the Vietnam War. Located in the mountainous highlands, about 50 kilometers, 31 miles southwest of Hue, the battle highlighted the increasing capability of the Vietcong and North Vietnamese backed forces to conduct coordinated assaults against heavily defended positions. At the center of the battle was Camp Nam Dong, one of the Civilian Irregular Defense Group or CIDG camps established by the United States to help secure remote regions. The camp was commanded by American Special Forces advisors working alongside South Vietnamese forces and indigenous tribesmen. Its mission was to disrupt Viet Cong infiltration routes, gather intelligence, and strengthen government control in an area where communist influence had steadily grown. The defenders numbered approximately 350 men. The camp's American contingent consisted of 12 soldiers from U.S. Army Special Forces Detachment A-726, part of the 5th Special Forces Group. They were commanded by Captain Roger H.C. Donlan. Supporting the Special Forces were approximately 311 CIDG troops, together with about 60 South Vietnamese personnel, including members of the Army of the Republic of Vietnam, the ARVN. Opposing the defenders was an estimated force of 700 to 900 communist troops. The attacking force consisted primarily of the 800th Main Force Battalion of the Viet Cong, reinforced by local guerrillas and supported by North Vietnamese military advisors. The attackers significantly outnumbered the camp's defenders and had spent weeks studying the camp's defenses before launching their assault. The communist plan relied on achieving complete surprise during the hours of darkness. Their objective was to destroy the Special Forces camp, eliminate the American advisors, capture weapons and supplies, and demonstrate that even fortified outposts deep in government-controlled territory were vulnerable. Shortly after 2:30 a.m., the attack began with a heavy barrage of 81mm mortars, recoilless rifles, rocket launchers, and machine gun fire. The bombardment targeted the camp's command post, communication center, ammunition storage areas, and defensive bunkers. Within minutes, assault teams advanced towards the perimeter, using Bangalore torpedoes and explosive charges. They blasted gaps through barbed wire and defensive obstacles before rushing the breaches under covering fire. Several communist assault groups succeeded in penetrating sections of the camp, leading to intense close-range fighting. Automatic weapons, grenades, and satchel charges were used throughout the engagement as attackers attempted to seize key positions before the defenders could reorganize. Despite the initial shock, the defenders reacted quickly. Captain Roger Donlan moved repeatedly across the battlefield, directing their defense while exposed to enemy fire. Although wounded multiple times by grenade fragments and mortar blasts, he continued organizing counterattacks, redistributing ammunition, evacuating casualties, and encouraging both American and Vietnamese defenders to fight on. The CIDG troops and Nung defenders fought stubbornly from bunkers and trench lines despite suffering heavy casualties during the opening bombardment. Their resistance prevented the attackers from exploiting their early breakthroughs. One of the decisive factors in the battle was the defenders' ability to maintain coordinated fire despite severe damage to communications equipment. Small groups of defenders established overlapping fields of fire that slowed the communist advance and forced attackers into costly assaults against fortified positions. The Americans also effectively employed the camp's heavy weapons, including 60mm mortars, machine guns, and recoilless rifles, to cover likely avenues of approach. Even after several weapons positions were destroyed, surviving crews continued firing until their ammunition was exhausted. Throughout the night, the attackers launched repeated assaults from multiple directions. Rather than attacking in a single wave, they attempted to overwhelm isolated sections of the perimeter before shifting their effort to another weak point. This tactic forced the defenders to constantly reposition their limited reserves. As daylight approached, the communist commanders recognized that the camp had not been overrun and that continued attacks would expose their troops to supporting aircraft and reinforcements. At first light, South Vietnamese aircraft arrived over the battlefield, followed by government reinforcements moving towards Dam Dong. Realizing the opportunity for surprise had been lost, the attacking force began withdrawing into the surrounding jungle, taking many of their dead and wounded with them. The battle lasted approximately 5 hours. The defenders held the camp, but at significant cost. American casualties totaled 2 soldiers killed and 9 wounded. The 2 Special Forces soldiers killed were Master Sergeant Gabriel Alamo and Master Sergeant John D. Houston. Among the South Vietnamese and CIDG defenders, approximately 57 were killed and more than 70 wounded, although some historical sources report slightly different totals due to variations in official reporting. Communist casualties remain uncertain. U.S. and South Vietnamese estimates placed enemy losses at approximately 62 killed, with many more wounded. Because the attackers removed many casualties during their withdrawal, historians caution that the exact number cannot be confirmed. The Battle of Nam Dong became historically significant for several reasons. It demonstrated that the Viet Cong could organize and coordinate battalion-sized assaults against fortified positions using careful planning, reconnaissance, and concentrated firepower. Their tactics of nighttime attack, preliminary bombardment, breaching obstacles with explosives, and attacking from multiple directions became common features of the later operations throughout the Vietnam War. For the defenders, the battle validated the effectiveness of well-prepared defensive positions supported by disciplined leadership and determined local forces. Although heavily outnumbered, the combination of reinforced bunkers, overlapping fields of fire, and effective use of supporting weapons allowed the camp to withstand repeated assaults. Captain Roger Donlan's leadership during the battle received widespread recognition. Despite suffering multiple wounds, he refused evacuation until the fighting had ended and personally exposed himself to enemy fire numerous times while coordinating the defense. The Battle of Nam Dong also influenced future American strategy. It reinforced the importance of a civilian irregular defense group program and demonstrated both the strengths and vulnerabilities of isolated special forces camps. Many camps were subsequently reinforced with stronger bunkers, improved communications, additional heavy weapons, and more detailed plans for rapid air support. Although overshadowed by larger battles later in the war, Nam Dong remains one of the defining engagements of the early American advisory period. It illustrated the determination of both sides, the growing scale of communist operations, and the increasingly central role U.S. Special Forces would play in defending remote outposts across South Vietnam. For his actions at Nam Dong, Captain Roger H. C. Donlan became the first U.S. Army soldier to receive the Medal of Honor during the Vietnam War. His citation recognized his extraordinary courage, leadership, and determination under sustained enemy attack.